This is the grand final, Gambit versus Fnatic.
Gambit and Fnatic are old teams, but we have a new lineups. Let's see how it clashes. I think he's the best in European, and it's like a really smart player by himself.
Rainover, he's soloed the mid lane, he's picked up a double!
He's the most hardest jungler to play against.
From season 2 or 3, I was his fanboy.
Vander face tanks it, he's going down to Diamond procs.
Because he creates meta, and then like he was the father of the jungle.
First blood goes to Reckless, and that's 2 kills. He's back for Fnatic, and he's already on the board.
I think he's a good player. Every guy wants to play at some point for Fnatic because how good the team is.
He's a really good player, and he's always been sort of one step ahead of me.
Forgiven, blood, he's selling, he smells it up, and he grabs the kill.
I want to for once show that I'm at least equally good or even better, but that requires a lot of hard work, and I'm up for the challenge.
Hello and welcome to Day 2, Week 2 of the European League Championship Series Summer Split. We're bringing our coverage to you live from the LCS studio in Berlin, Germany. As you can see, we have a full house here for our 5 games. And there, the crowd have brought their signs in. They're cheering for all the teams who are getting into the action today. Here is Fnatic entering the building just a couple of minutes ago. Febvin there. Rainover, as praised by Diamond just a minute ago. Cabo Shard setting up, looking to find that very first victory for Gambit. So important, this matchup for them here today. They're forgiven as well. I'm Eve, your Shock supporter, gearing up for today's matches with the help of Mitch Krepo Voorspoels and Trevor Quickshot Henry. Yeah, Krepo's got his party tie on, so we're in for a whole heap of fun. And at the halfway point in Week 2, we're going to look at how the teams stack up and take a look at the standings. Still at the top of the table, OG and Fnatic riding high at 3-0. Then the Giants, H2K, and Unicorns of Love tied in third at 2-1. And well, I'd like to take a closer look at those Giants because we all kind of feel like they have made a visible improvement in their team in the last couple of weeks.
I completely agree. They did make a change coming into the summer split. They, swapped out Rydell for Godfred. And while Godfred had a shaky start, games 2 and 3 have been significantly better. His Dark Bindings yesterday were fantastic. As a team, Giants just seem a little bit more all together. I do want to take note, though, they are playing against teams who have been struggling in the summer splits, so you could argue they're beating teams that will be in the bottom half of the table, but they're still picking up those wins. And a lot of it, I think, is on the fact that Audrey stepped up, Frederick stepped up, and Werlib in particular on that Maokai had a great game yesterday.
Great game from all of them, team-wise and individually. At the bottom of the table, though, SK and Gambit still no win and in dire straits, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know about their music choice or music preference there, but looking at those teams, both have one thing in common, and that is forgiven. Is X Team 03, his new Team 03, is he the common link, or is it just, happens to be?
I don't know what it'll be.
Luck.
We'll have to find out. The one thing I do want to remind everybody, Gambit went 0-5 in Spring Split and then bounced back 7-0. So maybe they still need more games, but the problem is there's only 18 games in the season, and this is the one that gets you as close to Worlds as you can get.
Yeah, fans, hang in there. Maybe 2 more losses and they're up the upswing. Someone who's definitely on the upswing, OG and Fnatic. There's not a lot to say about it. They are just playing incredibly well.
Week 4.
Week 4.
Week 4. If these two teams keep winning, Week 4 is when they go head-to-head, and that's when one of them will pick up a guaranteed loss. But it's definitely going to be a hyped-up matchup. That'll be our match of the week for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yesterday we also saw the return of the Rogue Mage to Summoner's Rift after his rework and release way back on patch 5.8. And for more on Ryze's resurgence in the top lane, we're going to check in with Stress at the Telestrator.
Thank you very much, Shocks. Now, it's been 24 hours since Ryze re-emerged in the EU meta, and I've been jumping in and out of spectating solo queue games, and we figured we'd give you a little bit of help if you haven't quite caught up with the curve from Huni and Visit Chachi. So, Ryze yesterday, 100% pick ban, picked in 2, banned in 3 games, and it's all because of changes that came in the 5.8 and 5.10 patches. Ryze's role and damage output has completely changed, so we really wanted to kind of update you guys guys on where Rise is right now. The first question to ask, though, is how was he pre-changes, so that we can keep in mind the differences. So pre-changes, Rise, you'd used to max Q, you'd max that overload, get a lot of damage, but as well build the stacking items of the Seraph's Embrace and the Rod of Ages. After that, you tend to go tanky, and then in team fights just absorb a lot of damage while taking people out with sustained damage in return. However, Rise has completely changed now, as we saw in yesterday's games, and with the reworked Rise, it's all due to his different passive, his changed passive now with the Arcane Mastery. You want to go to the supercharged state, which is after you get 5 stacks of Arcane Mastery, and that means that every time you cast a spell, the cooldown of your other spells will be reduced by approximately 4 seconds. It's all linked in with the cooldown of Overcharge itself. The change in 5.10 is that now lasts 6 seconds at all ranks. So you're not maxing Overcharge anymore, you're maxing Rune Prison, the W skill, and that adds extra root duration to Rise's kit. Build order has changed as well. Take a look here, still got the Stacking Seraph, still got the Rod of Ages, but the last few items, you want to go for magic penetration and more AP. We even saw Huni go for a man, wow, that's Luden's Echo. Thank you very much from the analyst desk over there. Man, new item for Season 5, and completely blanked on it there. That's how different it was from Huni, actually. But for Huni, we want to take a look at just how he dominated Steve in the game yesterday against Roccat. So we're going to take a look at some of the in-game footage now. And when we get that up onto the telestrator, you can see, I want you to keep a track of the Rune Prisons here coming out from Huni, and just how many he's getting onto Steve. And it's all because of the fast rotations on his abilities. He's throwing out a Q, throwing out an E in between every Rune Prison, always getting it when it's on cooldown. Now, level 9's a bit of a power spike for Rise. When he reaches level 9, he gets the root duration all the way up to 1.75 seconds. And that can happen about every 2 seconds for Rise. And you can see Steve just absolutely had no escape at all whatsoever. When you get to the later game with Rise, his role in teamfights becomes a lot more similar to a Cassiopeia, a little bit different, a lot of sustained damage. The trade-off for that is you get a lot of single target crowd control, but you're a lot squishier on Rise. Now, if you want to play Rise yourself, check out Runes and Masteries on lolesports.com's extended match histories for the full setups for Huni and Visit Chachi. But I'm sure we'll be seeing Rise today, if not in picks, then certainly in the bans. Back to you guys at the analyst desk.
Thank you so much, Stress. Well, Rise did very good against me with the Luden's Echo as well, and I just wanted to block it out. I guess that's what happened to Stress as well. Thank you for that breakdown. We're looking forward to today's matches and see if Rise will appear. We'll be starting things off as Gambit looks to secure their very first win versus Fnatic. We have the Unicorns of Love versus Roccat, H2K versus Elements, another 5 games to see how the standings evolve. And our last game of the day will be OG taking on the Copenhagen Wolves. Before we get into today's first game, though, we want to reach out to you. Tweet at LOL Esports and tell us who is the most underrated team in Europe so far this summer and why?
I want to answer this one because I think Gambit are a little bit underrated. I think as a team, they're not performing to the level that they should be. And I do actually expect them to start picking up more wins as the season rolls on.
I think both Gambit and SK have shown glimmers of hope, have shown signs of brilliance where they had decent games and almost got the victory, but they just fell short at the end. There was always that one step missing, and I'm looking forward to see if these teams can take that final step and finally get a victory on the board.
And we will see. Well, we want to know what you guys think as well. So as always, send in your responses at LOL Esports and include that hashtag LCS. And now we're going to dial in on our very first match of the day between Gambit Gaming and Fnatic. As said, Gambit still looking for their very first win of the summer, and with their lineup, of course, Cabo Shard, Diamond Prox, Betsy, Forgiven, Gosu Pepper, and their coach, Shawns. They are up against Fnatic. Fnatic is 3-0 so far, so not an easy feat for Gambit to get into this one. Let's take a look at the lineup for Fnatic on the red side. Huni, Rainover, Febivin, Reckless, Yellow Star, and their coach, Daylor.
Yeah, Fnatic right now, they're 3-0 and Gambit is 0-3, and that's the biggest discrepancy you could possibly have at this point in the LCS. That means Gambit is like an animal trapped in the corner. They need that win, and Fnatic, they will have to be careful because when you have an animal in the corner, they get unpredictable. And yeah, exactly. Like you just did off camera. Camera, why didn't you catch Shawns doing that? She was gonna get away with it if it wasn't for the meddling crapple. But my point is, what I'm gonna make is Gambit, when they get unpredictable, they're an incredibly tough team to play against because they can always get back on top. Every time in history, people have written off Gambit, whether it was LCS or IEM, somehow they managed to come back. So I'm not ready to say that this is gonna be an easy victory for Fnatic just yet.
Yeah, nobody puts Gambit in the corner. But before we share some more thoughts on this matchup, we're going to hear what Reckless thinks his lane opponent can improve to be the best in the league.
I think Forgiven's strongest side towards in comparison to other ADs is just his confidence in a way that when he plays, he never hesitates. He also has incredible mechanics, and I think his only weakness is really his champion pool, and maybe the fact that his gameplay is so centered around him winning his lane. I think if he kind of drop that idea a bit and then use his strength in maybe his rotation game or something like this and learn a couple of more champions, he could be for sure the best player we have here.
Well, perhaps Forgiven has taken that advice from his opponent. After that Lucian in the first game, he did try out Ashe. He did go for Ezreal on the Rift, so there is an adaptation coming in.
There is a little bit of adaptation, but I don't know if it's enough, because that adaptation is great to see from Forgiven as an individual player, but it needs to be applied to the rest of the team. When I saw the Ashe locked in, I got excited, expecting these pinpoint sniper accuracy, Ashe arrows from across the map, but every single one of them needed to be a Hail Mary, let me save Gambit, because the whole team started falling behind. So I think for a player like Forgiven, I'm excited he's playing new champions. I'm a little less excited that the team is not playing around him and those champions because of how strong a player is. It's MVP of the spring split.
I just want to see Forgiven on champions with gap closers. His major strength is his mechanics and the fact that he almost reactively dodges skill shots all the time instead of doing it predictively. He is so quick on his feet, and I want to see him use those gap closers both offensively and defensively. And I was a little disappointed on his performance on Ashe. It was too stagnant, too immobile of a pick, and he got punished for it very hard.
Yeah, moving away from his pick specifically, just the draft for Gambit yesterday, that was maybe the most dramatic we've seen so far. But on the opposite side of the spectrum, Fnatic has adapted so well yesterday. The Rise immediately in the mix, immediately showing what they can do, so that is an extra difficulty for Gambit as well.
Definitely going to be the case. We saw how powerful that pick can be. And then also just the question marks. Gragas was locked in fairly early for Gambit. They put it top lane in Cabochard's hands. And I like Cabochard as a player. He's mechanically fantastic. And coming up against Huni today, it's going to be a fun matchup to watch. But I'd like to see him on a more meta pick. Give Diamond Gragas, although we know he's trending towards Volibear for the time being. So I think there's some big question marks on how Gambit will respond to the threats that Fnatic are going to put on the field.
Indeed, it will be a tall order for Cabochard as well. Huni yesterday, 80% kill participation. Rather, we saw him going up against Steve and just doing incredibly well. And it's kind of like Huni is already this good, and now he has another pick that he can work with.
I just was very impressed with how resilient Huni was. He was down 0-2, opted for the blasting one before he chose to go for more defensive items. He realized in that situation, either I get a kill right now and come back in the game, or I'm out anyways. He got that kill, and all you need to give Huni is one kill, and he starts rolling in. Fantastic performance so far in this split. And yeah, who's going to stop Huni?
We will see. Will it be Gambit in this one? We're going to get some insider insight into Gambit's gaming start to the season and check in with Pyrotechnics, who's standing by with the newest member of their organization.
Thank you very much, Shox. I am joined by Gambit's new coach. It is Sean's. First of all, thank you very much for joining me. I wanted to get right into it, though, because you're a new face on the stage right now, but you have been around professional gaming, and in a lot of ways, actually. You've been a jungler for Sparta Thunderbot. You've been a jungler for Millennium. You've been a caster, French caster. What made you change over to coaching? Why this decision?
Basically, I saw the offer from Gambit, and well, I knew we were talking with Cabochard, and basically was saying, yeah, we still have tryouts, so maybe you can try. And then when I tried, I managed to have good input into the team and communicate well with them. And then the time went, and they just decided to pick up me, and we are doing so far some great work, I guess. I didn't work enough, but we will try to work more.
Okay, so you've just kind of hit the ground running, obviously, and of course, it sounds like you've already kind of answered this a little bit, but I want to dig a little deeper into this about why Gambit really picked you in particular. What particular do you think that you had that stood out to them, and why did they choose you as the coach right now?
Well, mostly, I don't really know why they chose me, but I think that I know every player from solo queue first and in a team. For example, Cabo, I play with his brother, Istari, back in the days with Sparta. And then they all know me, and basically I'm someone really positive that thinks a lot about the game and always try to anticipate things and think a lot about strategy. I was never like the jungler mechanically gifted or just making plays overall, just like calling everything and trying to make things like prepared enough, and that's why basically I was a coach. Like I want Gambit to see in a bigger picture how the game should go, what they should pick in order to do that, and like try to have 2 or 3 minutes in advance for the game before entering the stage.
Gotcha. It takes a cool head. You have to be able to think in that way. So on that same token, looking at this Gambit team right now, you guys have obviously gotten off to a bit of a bumpy start. What is your #1 priority with the team to push those wins forward?
Well, I want the team, first of all, to improve. Like, they are all really talented. 5 individuality is really good, but I want them to be one team only. And that's what we're working on. Like, I noticed first that they were maybe a little bit sometimes lost in the mid-game to late game compared to some of the good teams like Fnatic or H2K we're gonna face. And I wanted to work a lot on it. So we basically only work our strategy about how you should think about the game, more like, let's say, strategy over the kills, you know. And we worked a lot, players worked a lot, and are really motivating and improving as far as I see on the day of the scrims and things like this. And we really want to show a big, maybe not today, we want to beat Fnatic, but it's still a harsh step, but we will improve week after week.
Week after week, we will have to see. And of course, one last question for you. I just want to know, Shans, so far you've only been with this team a little bit. Obviously, you're still in an interim position, but what is your favorite thing working with these Gambit guys?
Well, tough question. Actually, I enjoy really a lot the time since I came in the gaming house. But yeah, basically, they are a really funny guy. I can talk. Everyone talks pretty much about everything, and we are really enjoying the moment so far. And the thing that I like the most is that they all have the desire to improve, whatever he's saying on the social network, everything. Like, I'm in the gaming house, I'm working for them, and I know that they so want to improve. Like, that's really satisfying as a coach to just came in and just say, okay, guys, we're gonna work on it. Watching this replay, and they are like, okay, go, and they just sit down and they just work, and they answer to my questions. They give facts and inputs, and it's so great to work.
Fantastic. I'm glad you have so much good stuff to work with. Thank you very much once again for joining me. Go ahead back to your team, and best of luck today. For now, though, we're going to go ahead and send it over to the caster desk to take this one into game.
Thank you very much, Pyrotechnics. You may remember us from just moments ago. I'm QuickShot. This is Crepo. We've taken a magical journey over to the caster desk, and the teams are making their final adjustments before picks and bans. We've talked a lot about Rise. You yesterday talked a lot about the likes of Alistair, Azir, Cassio. What are we expecting for Gambit and Fnatic in picks and bans?
Well, Alistair went unpicked 2 of the games yesterday, if I recall correctly, so it looks like either I was wrong or the teams were wrong, but something was wrong.
It's a new patch as well.
New patch, indeed. But yeah, I really like Alistair as a support currently. Rise is pretty strong, so it feels almost like these ban pick phases are becoming predictable to a sense that you have to ban so many champions, and then even after the bans, there's so many champions left.
All right, we'll find out which teams decide to ban which champions. It is Gambit on the blue side of your screen against Fnatic on the right side, the red side. This was the 2013 LCS Spring Split final, but 2 very different teams and 2 very different situations. Top and bottom of the table, as you've already alluded to, Crepo.
Yeah, immediate Huni ban. Familiar sight, we've seen this before. Rumble goes out, Hecarim goes out on the Huni. Target ban from Fnatic on Edwards, or Ghost of Pepper's about his Thresh. Quite normal. Lucian taken out, I like it because it seems to be the one staple pick that Forgiven performs well on. A gap closer, AD carry that is still in the meta game right now. Sounds like Sivir, that Forgiven has said that he doesn't like playing all too much.
Well, we did see very similar bans yesterday from Roccat. It was Rek'Sai, if memory serves, was the final ban against Fnatic. And that meant Huni got his hands on Rise. Let's see if that's going to change today. One more ban. Gambit is going to be Kalista towards Reckless. So 80 carry pools being hit a little more this game.
Yeah, Forgiven also not that notorious for his Kalista. I've never seen him play it actually. So forced to ban him because she is a very strong pick right now, especially in organized teams that work well, especially with a hard engaging support like Yellowstar that likes roaming early, can get an XP deficit because Fate Calls can always pull him back in these early fights and let him re-engage afterwards. Final ban from Fnatic coming out will be Victor. Hasn't seen that much play. We've always been talking about LeBlanc, Azir, Cassiopeia, but Betsy did play a decent amount of Victor back in the day.
He did indeed, and Froggen 0 and 2 on Victor thus far. Lost to Power of Evil's Cog, lost yesterday to Pepinero's Diana, but with all the picks available, how on earth do you only take one?
Yeah, you have to. How on earth do you not take one? No, possible Rek'Sai pickup early for Gambit, I could see. Betsy did well on Azir as well. I liked his Azir more than I did his Fizz, for sure.
It's gonna be
we forgot about Rise.
So this is the thing, we talked all
We had an entire Telestrator segment.
Well, Rise was available, Maokai was available. A large number. Crepper, make some sense of this. Rise very quickly locked in at the end. Azir and Rek'Sai to follow.
So we know Diamond Prox doesn't like playing Gragas. We know that according to popular opinion, tier 1 junglers right now are Gragas and Rek'Sai. Therefore, you take Rek'Sai if you're a Reignover. He's incredibly good on Rek'Sai. The first time I played against him in solo queue when he was playing Rek'Sai, I noticed that he's very good at keeping up the tempo of the game. He's always doing something, always has something in mind, and that means he never falls behind in experience. He's ganking, he's here, he's there, he's everywhere. He uses ultimate, and it's so hard to keep track of him. And then stealing the Azir that was kind of hovered, kind of given away by Gambit. Not sure if it was a mind game. Feven, obviously a good Azir player as well. And Huni doesn't have to take his pick on this rotation. He can just hide it, wait until the next draft.
Yeah, and talking about that Azir, it was actually banned out against Febiven at MSI, and we'd not seen him playing it at that point, but we obviously knew that came from scrim results or practice games leading up to the event. So Gambit have run the entire 60 seconds down. They have taken that Alistar, which I'm sure you're excited to see. They've locked in Gragas as well. I'd like to hope it's for Diamond, but Gambit ran the top yesterday.
Yeah, if memory serves correct, Edward or Ghost of Pepper, I keep forgetting that. For me, he'll always be Edward in my heart. He went for the Thresh over the Alistar yesterday, so maybe Fnatic did him a favor by banning Thresh and giving him Alistar. I think it's a super strong pick. You have to take it away from Yellowstar as well, because he's proven that he could definitely play that champion. Reckless has played a lot of Ashe. Not sure if he's going to pick it this rotation, because Forgiven's Ashe wasn't all that impressive either.
Well, let's step back and ask, what do Fnatic do against Rise? They left the champion open, they opted to ban Victor, so let's assume they've discussed a possibility, knowing that they'll get more priority picks. What do they run into Rise, as we've seen him pick up 2 very convincing victories yesterday?
So if you're playing into a Rise, there are 2 options. Either you pick a strong top laner jungler combination that Huni and Reignover can use their synergy to shut that Rise down, or at least attempt to, like we saw done against Huni, where he went 0-2 early, or you try to lane swap away from the Rise, starve his farm, and don't let a Rocket scenario happen where teleport goes up to the top lane and you start snowballing on that champion. This is what you want to avoid. Ezreal locked in here, removing one more gap closer AD carry of the champion pool. Reckless able to hold his own. Might be indicating that Ezreal always indicates a passive lane. Might be saying, hey, Reignover, yes, you can spend time in the mid lane, yes, you can spend time in the top lane, because Reckless on Ezreal will always be able to farm.
Wow, Forgiven locking in the Sivir. Definitely a stylistic change for him. Everything about this team comp is run at you, go, go, go. Gragas has got some disengage, but even Betsy on Ahri is going to be able to dodge around, and that's a very, what I feel, team fight oriented composition here from Gambit. I think once they group up, they'll do very well.
Yeah, definitely so. I'm not the biggest fan of Ahri. We'll have to see how it plays into the Azir. There are other picks available. At least she has some mobility. Add the Sivir to her, she can take care of her own. And I've always liked Sivir with Rise, because he's a little bit immobile, but he dishes out so much damage, as we see right now, and he can keep targets locked down. And a little bit mobility from on the hunt. And I like Alistar to bring it all together as a secondary tank force with that Unbreakable Will. If you pop it in time, you're indestructible almost in the mid-game fights, later in the game as well. Incredibly hard to take down an Alistar in his ultimate duration. So good draft from Gambit, vast improvement over yesterday. Cannot stress that enough.
Well, I'm very happy about that. The question still stands, what do Fnatic run into Rise? We assume that it's going to be Rek'Sai, Cho'Gath is the champion now that both Huni and Febiven have run in the spring split, but I expect this to be most likely for Huni top.
I imagine. I don't see the value in putting the Azir top. Then again, I am not Huni, and he may well pull a little bit of a trap card here, but imagine, or assuming rather, that Cho'Gath is top lane. The way you want to shut down that Rise is have Reignover tunnel in, do the flash knockup, followed by the knockup from Cho'Gath itself. Silence, so Rise can't keep chaining these spells, can't keep resetting those cooldowns, like Stress pointed out on the Telestrator earlier. Might be the way to shut him down, because you tried ganking him, doesn't work. You tried diving him, doesn't work. So how do you stop Rise from killing you? Well, you'll silence him.
Well, we'll have to see whether or not Huni's Cho'Gath is going to work out. It left a lot to be desired when Fnatic ran it in the spring split. We're going to see Febiven on this Azir, which I'm excited about, and I just have to go back to Forgiven on Sivir. In the spring split, when everybody was playing Sivir towards the end, he didn't pick it up, he didn't play it, and now this is the very first time all year long he's on this wave clearing, no gap closing AD carry, which is something you were talking about in the pregame.
Yeah, but at least he adds some mobility once he pops his ultimate. And a very stylistic mismatch between these two compositions. the one side you have a very poke-heavy, kite-heavy Fnatic that's really good at walking back. Think of Ezreal's Mystic Shots, think of Morgana's Dark Bindings, think of Cho'Gath's kite potential if he lands those Ruptures. At the same time, Gambit, they want to go in, they want to go hard, they want to pop on the hunt and dive in.
And we'll see whether or not they can find those fights, Crepo. We're loading up onto the Rift for the first game of the day as Gambit at 0-3. Banners lit next to Fnatic 3-0. Looking to secure their first victory of the summer split. They've got Rise.
So, Trevor.
Currently 2-0 on patch 510. And also just take note of the coin there from Yellowstar.
It's going to be hashtag GMB win or hashtag FNC win.
Thanks for that, Crepo.
What is it going to be? I have no idea.
Nor do I. I'm going to let the game tell us the answer to that question. Gambit are initially doing a heavy stack. Cabo's a little bit late to this party.
Alright.
But Gambit seem quite committed to this invade.
With the change to Tormented Soil, it is now more valuable for Morgana to start bind level 1. Back in the day, Tormented Soil was incredibly good for clearing camps a little quicker. And you would basically doubting, do I start Q, do I start W on Morg? And you felt that you wasted a little bit of potential if you had to stop an invade with Q. No longer the case. Q is roughly the same damage as Tormented Soil on camps right now.
So while we did see Gambit pushing very aggressively into Fnatic's jungle, Huni replied in kind. He's got a ward, so very similar warding strategies for both respective teams. And we'll see whether or not any lane swap shenanigans come into play or whether or not Huni's Cho'Gath with the knockups and the silences will be comfortable enough.
Now watch the top right of your screen and see if Gambit pings this out, because Yellowstar is about to show on that ward because he wants to get in time for that camp. So Gambit should be aware of where Yellowstar in, because that ward seems to be placed far enough.
So no ping on Yellowstar himself, but we did get pings in the bottom
They saw
and
it.
the middle lane.
They saw it, and I think if they didn't see it then, they will see it now, Trevor, because he's spot on a ward. They saw Huni as well. So complete information from Gambit. Good preparation, good coaching from Shans there. Or good shot calling, but information is there for Gambit. Let's see how they use this information.
Crux, isn't it? Having all the data in the world doesn't mean anything if you can't implement the correct decisions immediately after. So we saw Gosu, Pepper and Forgiven getting both of the respective Krugs. It looks like Gosu 50% of the way to level 2. Reckless and Yellowstar did drop.
Now without Tormented Soil, you might lose the push advantage. Usually when we see an Alistar lane, they tend up getting pushed in here. Pepper going aggressive, using his stack on a range creep, not the biggest fan of that. Prefer using it on melees to validate the push, but they're already level 2, so it really doesn't matter in the end. Sivir pushing in, this is the Forgiven style, this is what he likes doing. If you're not familiar with Forgiven for whatever reason, he will push you in the tower, keep poking you over and over and over again until you either cry or base, or both.
That's what he's looking to do. We'll see whether or not Forgiven Sivir can help pick up the additional weight that needs to be carried here from Gambit. And we heard from Reckless saying that he felt mechanically Forgiven was fantastic, but it was champion pool and rotational play where maybe Forgiven was lacking. And Sivir is the god of both of those. We'll see whether or not he can make it work.
Diamondprox finds Rain over. Diamondprox a little healthier on his first clear. And yeah, going back to that matchup, very interesting matchup, Reckless against Forgiven. He even said in his AMA that he did not rate Forgiven in the top 4 European AD carries. Who's catching who?
We're about to find out. Level 3 against level 3. Diamond is picking the fight.
Look
He
at that
throws
damage.
the barrel down. Rainover is in trouble. It's going to have the support of Febiven, and now Diamondprox is on the wrong side of the jungle. Let's see, can Huni find him out? Diamond may need to sacrifice himself, and he's got himself a little bit of quiet to start recalling.
Oh, he has to run. If he gets tagged right there, he can't suicide anymore.
Well, no tag from Preyseeker.
Oh, he could base right there, actually.
He's going to force to either recall or just get dropped by the Nexus turret. So, Diamond technically wins the trade with Rainover, but has to give up his life for staying too deep.
Now let's take it back to what actually happened. Yes, Diamondprox wins that extended engage, but as we saw earlier, Febiven chunked out Betsy in the mid lane. Betsy had to use his potion very early, wasn't sustainable enough. His lane was pushing back as well. He couldn't join that fight first, so it doesn't matter, because when both junglers are fighting each other, the first mid laner to help generally snowballs that fight, forced Diamondprox out, didn't drop a kill, didn't drop first spot, but lost a lot of tempo.
We'll see whether or not that comes back to hurt Diamondprox. Marginally behind Rainover, both of them going for the Skirmisher Sabres. As we've seen, even CS in the AD carry slot, Febiven with a small advantage middle, And this is the lane that I'm most interested in. Cabo shot against Huni, Rise into Cho'Gath.
Well, Rise is what they call a ticking time bomb, so it's fine for him to be even on CS. Let me see Romain's little daughter. And the pip cam. But on the bot lane, 36 CS even square. That's impressive, because if you get pushed into the tower repetitively, then you're expected to drop a lot of CS. Pepper goes in, shift from Reckless with respect.
Buff donated to Febervin as well, so we will keep our eyes on that ticking time bomb. It has the potential to explode once Cabochard gets a few more items. And we saw the Tia into Rod of Ages being the sort of de facto yesterday. We'll see if they continue to play the same.
Both teams, or neither team, is actually pressured by time all too much. We can wait for the on-the-hunt power spike when they start grouping. Rise is still the late-game carry. At the same time, Fnatic, Azir, we've seen him before, can carry these late-game team fights with Emperor's Divide. Feven got his blue buff, whereas Diamondbox took it for himself. So Betsy, we said this before, he gets less resources from his team in terms of CS share post 15 minutes, in terms of jungle attention. He's quite starved usually. Still even right now, even though the discrepancy in blue buffs. Rainover finds that pink ward.
Round number 2 between Diamond and Rainover. Rainover's going to tunnel himself out.
Because Betsy is here first.
Got the support from the mid laner, so slightly different fight, but we could see some engages happen. Febervin knocked Betsy into the river. Betsy does not have access to Spirit Rush yet. Orbit Deception goes up. Betsy still not level 6. Rainover's got the support of Huni, as another flash from Diamondbox keeps him alive. And Fnatic invested a lot. They don't get the kills, but they're clearly in control of the pressure.
This is the first time I've seen Emperor's Divide push somebody over that wall, setting up almost a double knock-up combo. Rainover eventually flashed over, and Huni, he followed up. So that play was called in advance. Huni didn't magically arrive there. He walked down from the top lane. So Fnatic, they were planning something, and this is why they're lauded as one of the best teams in the European League, because they play with all their resources in sync. Yes, there's a fight in the mid lane. Huni, can you walk down? Yes, all right, calm then. Force some flashes.
We've got both of them. So Diamond and Betsy without summoners. Huni teleports his way back to the top lane, and Cabo's running. So TP advantage to Cabochard's Rise and Gambit.
This is the cost for that play. If you move away from your lane will be pushed in, it will bounce back. This gives you the enemy top laner time to base, and then catch that wave that just bounced back all the way instead of using his teleport. So while that seemed good for Fnatic at first, as you said, teleport advantage for Gambit in a composition with Sivir could be crucial.
We'll have to keep an eye on that Sivir Alistair lane. Forgiven has been shoving it relatively aggressively, however, not chunked too much hit points off that bottom lane tower, so we'll keep a close eye on how the towers play. But Cripper, we're 8 minutes in, and both teams fairly content to play the farming game. Also, I want to note, Diamond's actually invading on the Gragas, something we didn't see him do on the Evelyn last week.
And definitely Diamondbox putting a lot more pressure, I like it. Going back to the bot lane, Forgiven just based for a BF sword, long sword, and a couple potions in response to the Sheen from Reckless. If it's an extended trade, Forgiven will definitely get the better of that. If it's short poke trades, Ezreal can shift out Boomerang Blade, land a couple Mystic shots in succession, proccing that Sheen on every trade. But level 6, you might see some action from this Gambit bot lane. Good Black Shields will be required.
So, Ghost Pepper and Yellow Star very, very close to level 6. We'll see whether or not those fights take place.
Look at Rainover. He's trying to get behind Cabochard in the top lane.
Well, I think he's got the tools to do so. No flash, but he's just going to tunnel over. Huni has actually got poked backwards. That's the flash from Cabochard. He still gets knocked up anyway, and Rainover alone chunks a large amount of Cabochard out. But the moment Rainover showed top, Gambit started dragging.
But look, Rainover uses ulti. He's still on full resources. I don't think Gambit added this into the equation.
We'll find out. There's no soul shackles here for Yellow Star. 2 members of Gambit inside.
Pulverize was used.
Trying to find and engage. Double flash. Respect.
Because Cabochard joined the party. If we go back a couple of minutes, that teleport advantage comes in. Aggressive Gambit. Aggressive Diamondbox, and the first dragon goes down for Gambit.
Very well played from Gambit. Team at the bottom of the standings, showing up in the early game against Fnatic. Got their first dragon, and they're dealing with the pressure appropriately. Also on par with their average first dragon times as well.
And delaying Fnatic's first dragon, which is very important.
So let's take stock. With the dragon and the teleport now down for Cabochard, Fnatic will be timing that. Huni's getting closer to his. He's going to steal away this blue buff. Let's feast if he needs to. That's a resource denial at the very least, but it meant Gambit got Dragon.
Yeah, trading in minor objectives on Fnatic side. They take a blue buff, take a couple of waves of extra CS, a little bit of turret pressure on the top lane. Huni staying in that lane. We'll see if Huni can capitalize on his teleport advantage. We saw Gambit do it first. Can Huni repeat it?
Well, Fnatic have shown that they can play from behind. 2 games out of the 3 that they've won, they sort of fell behind a few thousand gold, needed to play with a little bit of defensive stats. This time around, at 10 minutes, they've actually got a 1,000 gold lead. So that little bit of extra farming time from the previous Dragon seems to have benefited Fnatic, and it's mostly concentrated in Huni with that 20 CS advantage.
For all you economists out there, hang on, Febiven takes a little bit of a charm. In terms of support gold, we don't get much, so we have to get the coin upgrade here on Yellow Star. He's already 100 gold ahead. Goes to Pepper. Keeping track of that. Writing it down.
Relic Shield versus the Nomad Medallion, or the Ancient
Was buffed.
Coin. Was buffed in 510. 1 additional gold from the base, and also at rank 2 additional mana and HP as well.
And the best kind of gold. Gold that you don't have to do anything to. Just watch those minions die.
Especially because you can do it from further away.
Yeah.
One of the other buffs on 510.
Febiven pressured in. Betsy doing well in this matchup.
All of that from the charm earlier. Febiven was pressuring Betsy in the early game.
And if we go back to that gank where Huni walked down, a good charm from Betsy there again, getting some tower shots on Febiven. So definitely even matchup here. Counter pick working out so far. Only 7 CS differential, but there's pressure. And I want to see Gambit use this pressure. We said it before, they had the triple push against Elements, but Diamond Prox wasn't invading. He wants revenge right now.
Something else that we also have to touch on, the fact that Diamond is working his way towards that Cinder Hulk. Going to come up against the Warrior Enchant Reignover. So the tankiness that Alistair, Gragas are going to start developing as this game continues to play out will definitely work in Gambit's favor with the Sivir, with the Ryze, who won extended fights.
Yeah, Rek'Sai pretty squishy early on. If she goes for the Warrior Enchantment, especially if you look at Fnatic's entire lineup, spells out more Kite, more walking backwards, throwing out skill shots repetitively, dark bindings, mystic shots, Azir poking, staying under safety of your tower. The tower's down, resurrect a new one with Azir's passive. So might want to see Reignover actually get a little more tanky, soak up the damage, facilitate the Kite. Or Fnatic might just turn it all around and just go all in.
Just something they've done multiple times.
Zero hesitation.
You see Febiven in this middle lane. Dodges the charm. Charm is down! He gets Betsy under the tower! If that wasn't a Shurima shuffle, I don't know what is, but Betsy decides he wants a piece of more. Goes in with Spirit Rush. Doesn't connect Orb of Deception. Flash is available for Reignover, and he doesn't manage to pick it up this time round.
I feel he could have maybe gone for that if they timed the knockup from Reignover. Into the follow-up from Huni, into Silence, into Feast. Cabochard did not have Flash. Maybe Fnatic didn't time it properly because Cabochard's Flash is almost on.
Not this time round. Conquering Sands goes out there from Febiven. Doesn't connect on
Tremor Sense is spotting out Diamond Prox. And we saw why Betsy liked the Ahri pick into the Azir, because he has 3 dashes. If one of them fails or gets used offensively, at least he can pivot around the wall and get out of there. Get out of that tower range quickly before taking too many tower shots.
Well, a lot of votes in favor of Fnatic once more. Definitely the fan favorites for an extended period of time, 78%. But Fnatic only marginally ahead. 14 minutes in, they're a Dragon down. 1 minute 30 before the next one spawns. CS advantage top though, which is continuing to play into Huni's favor.
Silence comes out into the Rupture, and that's what Cho'Gath wants to do. Rupture is easily dodged, or Flash, but if you can Silence, then Rupture ahead of your opponent. Either he'll get hit by the Rupture or juke back into your jungler, following up. Rupture lands.
Wow, this time around it does.
Silence lands.
Silence come out as well. Reignover's looking for another knockup. Cabochard instantly flashing. First blood to Reignover, and that just looked really quite easy.
And finally, Fnatic pieced together the puzzle, but Diamond Prox, he wants revenge on the bot lane. Reckless Flash is up though.
Well, Yellow Star does not manage to get off the Black Shield. That's very, very late. Goes to Pepper, throws down the Unbreakable Will. He's in fact been exhausted, as has Reckless. Reignover was trying to cut off Diamond, and Reckless gets the second kill of the game. Diamond made it out.
And this is why Rek'Sai was banned so often in the European LCS, because we just saw her get a kill on top lane, and immediately she was already part of that fight on the bot lane, combined with Huni's teleport. Fnatic moving their resources all over the map. But now crucial, teleport advantage on Cabochard yet again. And Gambit, they will need to answer.
We'll see how they decide to do that. And again, small plays, small advantages, and small leads to Fnatic. Vanderven doesn't have level 11. He's going in for Betsy. Betsy gets knocked under the tower once more. It's the same combo.
What a fantastic binding from Yellowstar. Read the play by Febvin. Febvin said, hey, look at this. I'm going to go in, shuffle him back, prep your binding. This is synergy. They've done this before. This is not the first time they've played these champions together.
And now we see why Azir has been banned against Febvin in several events. Yellowstar might be finding himself between a fat man and an angry bull. Pulverized up, barreled back, and head-butted for further distance. That's going to be a dead Yellowstar. Just checking the wrong bush, I'm afraid.
Face checking brushes is dangerous on Summoner's Rift. Good punish by Gambit there. They also took down a bottom tower. Forgiven has a 20 CS lead right now. Try for spike for Reckless though. And we have a pause.
We'll see exactly what the problem is in a moment or two. But let's quickly summarize where we are in the game. Again, 1,000 gold lead for Fnatic. 3 kills to 1. Dragon's coming up very soon. But it's Huni that's got the earlier Rod of Ages, and Cabochard going with the same item build that we saw yesterday.
Yeah, now going back to the champ select, we said there are 2 ways to try and shut down a Ryze. Either you go for the jungler top laner synergy combo, which we see in the combined knockups coming out of Rek'Sai and Cho'Gath, or you lane swap. Fnatic opted for the normal lanes. Took them a while to piece together that combo, but eventually they got it. And Cabochard fell, but he did a good job dodging it. Only down 30 CS.
I'm not sure it's enough. Seeing how powerful Ryze is, and seeing
Huni came back for more. So Huni was down 0-2, starved in CS, and magically became this one-man army later in the game anyways.
Well, I guess that's a very valid point. If there's anybody that's going to know how to play against the Ryze, it's going to be Huni, because Ryze was down, or Huni was down yesterday. Just quick update, it is Gosu Pepper having a problem with his in-game chat. So the guys are on the matter.
Yeah, I've seen this problem before. Back when we played against Gambit, whenever we got onto a computer that they had used, a lot of the Russian players swap their minimap and chat location around, and then when you swap it back, you lose your chat box. And you generally don't notice when you're warming up, but then you get on stage and you try to time something and there's no chat. And you panic, where's my chat? And then you ask the referee and it's like, oh, how don't you know? You've done this before. And then they swap it up and they fix it for you. Well, maybe that problem.
There we go. We'll find out. We'll get that confirmed in a moment or two. I can see Gosu Pepper connecting and reconnecting, but very even, very close, very tense. In a matchup that was top of the table, bottom of the table, what a difference Gambit can look like when they have a team composition that makes a whole lot more sense.
Yeah, a lot of people would have written off Gambit based on the standings here. I've done it before, writing off Gambit when they're down and they're playing top team. And I've always been wrong. So from that moment onwards, never again. Ferocious Gambit coming out. Aggression, sometimes a little ill-advised, but I want to have them go too far forward and too far backward. If that makes any sense.
It makes perfect sense, and we'll see if Gambit can use that too far forward mentality to help push Fnatic. Take a look at your items really quickly. Cabochard eats a Rupture and Feral Scream, and that's a lot of damage. But Hex Drinker for Reignover, as you mentioned, Trinity Force for Reckless versus the Eye-Edge. So I think there's a small item advantage if Fnatic can make use of it, and we'll see whether they do.
Yeah, a bit of a spike on the Triforce here, but Forgiven does get his Avarice Eye-Edge, as you said. Vamp Scepter too, because he can sustain. Now I'm trying to see, or trying to deduce why Huni would go for this Cho'Gath, and it looks like once this fight starts and Ryze eats one crowd control effect, Huni will immediately flash, silence, feast, and that should be enough to either get the new Ryze, who is very squishy, but does a lot of damage, down. And that's the way they want to do it. Trade offensive summers from Huni. Yes, he might die in the process, but if you can take out the Ryze, then a big part of your problems are solved. And I'm really looking forward to these team fights. It's going to be very interesting to see how Fnatic plays them. Forward, backward, are you going to kite or just all in, take out the priority targets and try to survive afterwards? How is Gambit going to use their mobility? A lot of questions.
We'll find out soon. We did see Fnatic trading, or securing rather, their first tower. They had lost their bottom lane tower. And it looks like Diamond is going to try sneak this dragon. They've got great vision in and around the river. He snuck over through the wall. It doesn't look like Fnatic are aware of this one.
And have Betsy covering in the bottom lane as well. He's very quick at moving from bot to the dragon if something happens. Reignover though. He doesn't know. He doesn't know. He's just going for the gank on Betsy on the bot lane, and Dragon alright goes down. Everybody hears that the Dragon has been slain.
But it cost them a tower. Fnatic take the middle turret as well as the top one. So now tower advantage and an even larger gold lead, 3,000 Crepo.
Almost a swapped scenario of Gambit against Elements, where Gambits were the ones taking towers left, right, and center, but giving up the neutral objectives and more so the kills. Betsy.
I think he's in trouble, Crepo.
I think so too.
What CC can land? Soul Shackles comes out. I think it broke the tether though. Not going to be enough.
Yeah, Reignover with a beautiful flash knockup after the first Spirit Rush was used, solidifying that kill. He knew if he waited any longer. Look at Betsy, still has his flash, but that knockup came in the right time. 3 people hitting him. Even if he flashes afterwards, some damage would hit him. And this is why Reignover is, yeah, one of the best, if not the best jungler, just like Diamondprox said in the feature. He has a lot of respect for Reignover, rightfully so.
I think it's fair to say that there are very few junglers in Europe who have the same level of impact every game that Reignover does. I'm hard pressed to think of a game where Reignover has not done similar things, as Fnatic look to secure one more tower. Cheeky yellow star just on the outer edge of range.
That picks up the gold though. Yellow Star is now 1,200 gold ahead of Gosu Pepper.
2 additional towers, 2 additional assists.
Nomad's Medallion.
Nomads as well. I'm going to take a look at the total gold earned. It's sitting around 700. Currently gold shared on Relic Shield, 230. A very big difference. Gosu not landing as many last hits as he would want to.
However, Yellow Star obviously invested more gold into upgrading that Nomad's Medallion, of course, as well. 80 carries. Even though there's more global gold on the side of Fnatic, bang on even with a slight edge even towards Forgiven. I'm not surprised. He's always been very good at farming.
But that's what Reckless said. Too focused on lane, not the game. And let's see if this translates. I think Forgiven's going to get very close to getting that static shiv, sitting at 900 at the moment. It's a couple hundred away, and then we'll see where they apply their pressure.
Now, a lot of players wonder why Static Shift, not Phantom Dancer, because it seems a lot more efficient, has better stats in the long term. However, you have to remember that Average Blade speeds up your third item. Yes, you get the extra gold. You get the extra gold on Average Blade, then you get Shiv, which costs less overall as a Phantom Dancer, and allows you to transition quicker into your third item, Lost Whisper or BT, whatever you prefer, and just get you that extra little spike earlier in the game.
So we've just hit
Tower
20 minutes, Crepo. Betsy lands another great charm. He's going in on Reckless. Reckless manages to Arcane Shift, but needed to blow the heal. But tower secured there in favor of Gambit. That's number 2. The rest of Gambit were looking top, and you can see Cabo's got teleport as well.
Yeah, Betsy playing forward, a lot of aggression, a lot of pressure. Yes, he's 0-2, but I feel it's okay. He traded those kills. In return, he put a lot of pressure on the map. He was mid, he was bot. He's drawing members from Fnatic away, giving breathing room for that rise to scale, for Forgiven to farm up, hit his item spikes. And eventually Gambit will group, and then I want to see how they use On the Hunt as a team.
We're not grouped for it yet. 22 minutes in. I know we keep talking about the time, but this has really just been a very, very farm-centric game.
But at least they're rotating. They're going for objectives, towers, dragons. By no means has been a boring game.
I also want to highlight again, 4 sweepers, this time for Gambit. Only Forgiven not running a sweeper, and we've got some upgraded trinkets on the side of Fnatic. So different approaches to your trinkets. And we'll see whether or not Forgiven and the rest of Gambit can deny the vision. Fnatic trying to hold on top.
Yeah, Huni with the Morella Nomicon Sword Shoes. He's sitting on 40% of CDR as well. His spells will go down incredibly low cooldowns. One Rupture can come out every 5.5 seconds. Huni can now silence every 8 seconds too.
And all
so a lot of crowd control.
Well.
Yeah, waves only come every 30 seconds, so Huni spells will definitely be in time for those. Things going on the bot lane. We're going to see some action. Reckless caught.
Well, it does manage to flash away. Here comes Reignover. That's a flash forward from Caboshot. The knockup keeps Caboshot in place. A silence onto Diamond. They've traded 1 for 1. But Huni needed his teleport for that, so advantage Gambit.
Definitely advantage Gambit. Caboshot yet again with the teleport advantage. Will Gambit use it? Because this gives more breathing room in the top lane. They were defending this tower, remember. Yes, you traded 1 kill for 1 kill. Flash was used on Reckless as well. Tower for Gambit. Teleport advantage for Gambit. Slowly evening out this game.
Did not quite expect this level of strategic play from Gambit. And they made use of the TP advantage previously. They'll need to do the same because Cabo's down and they still got a deficit to claw back from.
Yellowstar going for the CDR boots Talisman rather, the new Shurelias from back in the day, and rather than the Righteous Glory, because Talisman allows you to move defensively, whereas Righteous Glory only gets used offensively, and we said it before, the lineup for Fnatic wants to kite, and they might need that little extra nudge, that little extra speed boost, because on the hunt on Gambit's side obviously increases the movement speed of all the champions by quite a lot. Talisman of Ascension.
I wasn't going to call you out for that one, but I'm glad you looked it up. As we can see it on the pause screen, tanky stats finally being picked up for Rainover. And this is just, it feels like this is going to explode.
We're building up the tension.
As we've got a lot of tension built up, a lot of items built up. You can see Huni's rod is completely stacked, getting there for Cabo. And yeah, you know, CS advantage kills a global gold advantage, but there's the tanky stats that we touched on.
Yeah, definitely. Tanky stats picked off for Rainover. He went that Warrior, as you said before. But notice that he needed some defense. Usually see an early random in his Omen, but goes for the hybrid offense defense in the Hex Drinker. Picks up a Spectre Scowl, now a Giant's Belt, Ruby Crystal. He's sitting on a lot of gold. Just gonna take a look at my screen here and see just how far ahead of Diamond Prox he is. 800 gold in the lead. So there's a lead on the jungle that's marginal. Big lead on the support. 1,300 gold, Yellowstar is now ahead.
You know, something else we've also got to talk about, if we step back and we look at Fnatic as a team, their playstyle this game has drastically changed. You know, previously they've been very, very aggressive in your face, and now they're playing a very strategic, tactical game. We'll expand on that idea in a second. I just want to call up a replay that we've got queued up of Febiven's Azir. Just how
what's your minimap right now? Yellowstar's coming in. See the soldiers? He knows that Febiven's gonna go for this move. Black Shield goes out on Febiven as well. Good player as he is, he didn't even need it because he sidestepped the charm, but you see this is perfectly in sync. There's so many layers to this play that make it so awesome, because that binding from Yellowstar was shot out before or while Febiven was making that move, and it made it very hard for Betsy to predict. And beautiful combo. And I like things like this. You know, back in the season where Nif landed that thresh hook on the kick from Shook, you know, those little plays that are really, either people call them lucky, but let's just call them predicted and, you know, working together. And it just shows a certain amount of synergy within the teams. And I really like seeing that stuff.
Definitely the case. So well played there by Fnatic. They have earned this 3,000 gold lead they've built up. But again, you know, to the play style, tempered aggression.
Calculated.
That's a better word for it, because it's only been on that rise, really, where Rainover's focused his priority and used that Void Rush for when pressure's applied elsewhere.
Yeah, and he kept Cabochard down. Yes, he only killed him once, but I mean, Huni hasn't died in this lane, and if we go back to all the Rise games we've seen so far, usually around this level 9 spike that Stress pointed out at the Telestrator earlier, Rise now level 13, usually people start dying left, right, and center, and this Rise gets rolling, but Huni playing pretty well defensively overall.
We'll have to see whether or not this Cho'Gath works out. I think it's working a lot better than it has in the past. When Febiven ran it, they did a lane swap and it didn't really work out. And you know, Cho'Gath kind of appeared out of nowhere at the end of spring and disappeared just as quickly. And this is the first time that we're seeing it here in summer.
Yeah, Cho'Gath top lane has been played in the past. You do very high amounts of sustain.
Yeah.
And those little spikes he puts out on the minions that he can toggle, allowing for very easy push. And then his passive allowed him to regen a lot over time. That's why he was initially played. But now he's more of an anti-mage. He's going to land the silence. You know, one of the few silences left in the game. And people forget that effect sometimes. Back in the day when you played against a lot of Fiddlesticks, Cassin, yeah, you know, okay, silence, that's a mechanic. I know you barely get silenced anymore. You're pressing all those buttons and you don't know what's going on. Why are my spells not working? Why is my screen gray all of a sudden? Questions I ask myself every time. Still looking for those answers.
Cabochard's going to have to find an answer. He's got that Seraph's Embrace upgraded. Dragon.
Fox going in. Reckless hiding in plain sight. Gets caught. Double knockup. Forgiven with the dunk.
1, 2, 3. Reckless is down. And now Gambit have started Dragon.
So let's talk about this play, right? The binding play with the Shurima Shuffle that I like, that was coordinated. Reckless was hiding on a ward. Diamond Crux says, okay guys, watch this. Body slam, explosive cat. Edwards reacts immediately with a knockup, and then Forgiven comes in and finishes him off without using flash. That was beautiful.
So excellently played by Gambit, and with their third consecutive dragon in the game. It doubled their numbers of dragons for the split. Bebevin's going to try survive this one. He's going to use the Conquering Shifting Sands over the wall. Flash for flash. Black Shield comes up, but it's not enough. Yellowstar has landed the Binding and the Soul Shackles. He's going to hold Betsy in place. We've seen the Nomad's Medallion giving the movement speed from the Talisman, rather. And it's going to be Reignover that secures the final hit. 1 for 1. But Gambit were the ones initiating.
Betsy with the aggression, the bravado for making that play, holding his spells until the right moment, forcing the flash, then chasing after. Let's see that again. Reckless going in body slam, almost wears off. Nope, cast comes in, almost wears off. Flash from Edward, or from Ghosty Pepper now. Really want to highlight just that little nudge on the hunt, a little closer. But I want to highlight how solid that flash was. If he waited any longer to walk close and pulverize, Reckless could have potentially flashed out or dashed out at least, but Edward, realizing that that was the case, goes for the Q flash pulverize all in, and beautiful combination from Gambit.
Into the waiting hands of Forgiven.
Thank you.
And that's what started it all. Then Betsy with the follow-up. We saw the Ari into Azia, and it worked for him this time. Gambit, the strongest performance they've had all summer, and then, as I was mentioning, 3 dragons this game. They'd only secured 3 in their previous games. Getting closer to that ever-powerful 5-dragon buff. Diamond Prox gonna knock Yellowstar and Reckless apart. Yellow does have flash available. Going in on Gosu, but no super engaged yet. There's Unbreakable Will. Engage will disengage.
Yeah, very good game so far. Very enjoyable game to watch. Action here and there, pushes here and there, rotations.
Kragus, Diamond Prox rather, not hesitating on those explosive casts. When an opportunity's there, he throws it down.
Definitely does. And I said before, I want to see him go too far forward than too far backward, and balancing on a knife's edge here. Gambit still down, goal, but refusing to give up. Never give up, never surrender. Used to be a motto of Moscow 5 back in the day.
From the previous split, their previous coach Leviathan taught them it's a process that they need to keep working through. Gosu was going to be a little careful, no Unbreakable Will, so Huni could have nommed him if any of those ruptures had connected.
Cabo Shard. Archangel Staff finished, Rod of Ages finished, working on those Mercury threats to reduce that silence duration. He's knocking on the bottom tower. Huni doesn't quite want to TP out because he
no TP
doesn't have it yet. Are we going to see a Panic Baron by Fnatic?
Well, Panic or Strategic, that will be the question. TP is available.
I'll tell you afterwards.
Moving their way, but Cabochon hasn't left yet.
He has teleport.
This is secured.
This is
Gambit
secured.
too late.
Beast.
Wow.
I would call this a strategic Baron, Trevor.
Cabochon still not teleporting. Fnatic now looking for the fight. Yellowstar, Soul Shackles on Diamond. And he body slams his way out. Forgiven's coming with on the hunt. I think that just wore off as Reignover now forced to get back. Cabochon still trying to push that bottom turret. He's not going to be able to get it. And Fnatic with a flawless Baron secure.
They definitely have the tools to finish this Baron. Remember, Huni's Feast deals more damage than Smite at this point in the game. They secured it beautifully together. Reignover Smite, it's up again. Cabochon didn't get enough. He's not that traditional top laner split pusher that can take down towers, take down champions, but Ryze still slow on these towers because his basic attacks don't scale off the ability power that you get. A lot of these champions, when they're hitting inhibitors and the like, they get a partial component of their ability tower in their auto attack damage against structures. You see, Ryze doesn't build that much AP.
Small resets on the buffs, but no real impact. And then we see those Merc trades picked up for Ryze as well as the Distortion Boots. So TPs and flashes are plenty. Make their way back in.
And most importantly, a little speed boost as well after using the flash.
If the Sivir speed boost wasn't enough.
If for some reason Forgiven's not there, if he's, say, farming a bot lane, farming your jungle, something, you have your miniature on the...
That's something we have to highlight. Forgiven at 29 minutes is 330 CS. He's about 2,000 gold, just under 2,000 gold ahead of Reckless. The farming machine can farm on Sivir. And remember, first time this year on Sivir.
Both teams Rotating a little bit. The Baron buff facilitates pushes as we've seen before. Can I take one tower? Can I take more? That's the question.
4-1 push, Crepo. Fnatic up top. They've got Huni down bottom.
Flying threat from Diamond Prox and Gosu Pepper though. Don't want to come from the front. We've seen this before. If you all come from the same angle, Azir is going to say thank you very much and push you back. Tower's dropping.
Black Shield's been used from Yellow Star. Tower's going down. Gambit unable to initiate. The flash pulverize comes down. They get Featherfin and Reckless. Reckless gets caught by the charm. He's taken out by Betsy. Here comes the teleport from Huni. He's thrown down the silence and Diamond is knocked up. Keep your eyes on Cabo Shot. He wants to clean up the fight. Reckless is down and Gambit are going to hold on to their base for now. Featherfin has also held on to Emperor's Divide. Not used it yet. Fnatic continuing to siege. Despite losing their AD carry, I take that back as they've backed away, secure the blue.
And that was a fantastic engage by Gosu Pepper. I think we'll see it later just exactly what he did, because I definitely want to highlight the brilliance of that play. Gambit, they stopped Fnatic from taking the tower, from taking the inhibitor, with a bold move, a bold flank, and they read the situation perfectly, and they saw what they had to do. Emperor's Divide wasn't enough. Reckless got charmed in the wake of that pulverize as well. Diamond Prox looking for number 4. His Dragon Dinner.
No one here from Fnatic. Oh, I lied. They've caught Rainover.
Well, he came in.
The jungle, flashes to the tunnel, so at least he's made it out alive. No smites. I think that dragon should be secured by the time we look at it. No, not been focused down by Gambit. But nobody from Fnatic challenging Crepo. See whether or not they continue this. You can see Huni was thinking about it, but too little and too late, and Fnatic lose their 4th dragon of the game.
And that definitely gives another window. I just want you to watch Gosu Pepper here. He's going to go for the minion taxi into the pulverized flash, if I saw it right. I just want to see it again. He can't get to Feather in time. Goes to the minion, then double flash knockup. And I can't stress this enough. That was a beautiful play by Gosu Pepper. He realizes that he doesn't need to use the headbutt on his opponents. If he can just get in range with it, gets the maximum value out of it, and then combo with his flash. He flashed 2 targets. One flashes out defensively, the other eats a charm, and I would have loved to see him pick more of this Alistar, and this is why I love this champion. You can go in for these really solid plays, and then Pop Your Unbreakable will become indestructible. Fantastic play by Gosu Pepper.
Gambit now 1 dragon away from the buff that could help them win the game. Remember, they're still 6,000, 5,500 gold down. They've lost a Baron, but it's worn off for Fnatic.
On the hunt gets popped.
Given's looking for a target. We do see Ghost, who goes all the way forward, but Black Shield this time prevents it.
Yeah, slow combo from Gosu Pepper there again. He wanted Yellow Star to Black Shield, Ezreal, Reckless, and then pulverize the ground after the Black Shield came down and get Yellow Star. Yellow Star, however, relied on Reckless saving his own hide and Black Shielding himself selfishly. More selfless supports could have died there, but beautiful read by both supports. Little intricacies like that often missed.
And while that was going on, Fnatic got the bottom inner turret.
Good thing you're watching that, Trevor.
Huni.
Sometimes I get a little drifted away.
Doesn't have teleport though, Cabashard does. So let's see how Gambit play the map now that the game has sort of reset, and it's all about these next moves, these next decisions from both teams. The number 10 team in Europe is pushing Fnatic this hard.
600 ability power on Huni right now. Just gonna quickly check up how much damage that feast does by now. Around 1,000.
Yeah, about 1,070.
1,070 true damage. Unblockable. Alright, Fnatic, that means only 1.6k damage more, and Rise will die.
Cabashard's got 2,600 HP.
Yep.
Forgiven's got 1,700 HP.
So yeah, Huni's Feast will definitely have to keep an eye out for that. See the difference. Suffice it to say, one full combo from Huni will almost kill any target on Fnatic's side, bar Rainover.
The next question is, what do Gambit do, what do Fnatic do when Gambit start the next dragon? It's 40 seconds till Baron.
Fight.
They've not done it yet. They've not even looked to. They don't have vision there either.
Gambit keeping up the pressure. Yet again, they're 6,000 gold down, but if you watch this game with the gold graph or the gold on the bottom of on top of the screen covered, you would not think this game is 6,000 in the lead for Fnatic. They're on the back foot right now. Betsy offensive charms constantly, and a lot of them have connected this game.
Definitely have. Reckless and Feathervin fallen prey to Betsy's Ari. It hasn't been overwhelmingly game-changing, but it has certainly had an impact. Found key targets when it's needed to, and alleviated pressure for Gambit. Take a look at your items really quickly. Last Whisper, Bloodthirster. It's an aggressive build for Given, a defensive build from Reckless.
Definitely seeing these tendencies, how these both team fights, both team compositions rather, what they want to do. Gambit wants to pop on the hunt and dive in, go aggressive. Fnatic, they want to survive, cleanse, QSS, and the likes. No cleanse, so they have to buy it themselves. Oh yeah, cleanse actually on for Bivin. I haven't seen him use it that much. Oh, has it?
Knock up on Cabo shot. Hooney's flashed forward,
Charm.
but he's alone. Eats a charm instantly. Rest of Fnatic most likely not gonna get there in time. On the hunt comes out Rainover, gets rooted in place. Black
Cabo Shard.
Cabo Shard's found Yellow Star, but Reckless and Forgiven are alive. We do see Feathervin going back in with the Conquering Sand. Now Cabo Shard's knocked up. Hooney looking for a target to feast. Can he find Cabo Shard? He's decided to turn around, and I think he feasted Diamond down. We see Gosu Pepper going out as Forgiven follows suit. Cabo Shard forced to run as Feathervin's Sand Soldiers are commanded to attack, and they take him down. Double kill, and Fnatic get a 4-for-1 fight.
Fantastic fight by both these teams. Hooney was running around trying to catch somebody, barely got in range, but the remaining Fnatic members did such a great job at kiting, dodging the damage, staying alive in this fight. Good Emperor's Divide to reset the fight. Reckless uses entire mana pool in that fight, and all together there, and somehow Fnatic survived. And we've seen the clash of styles here, diving in against Kite. Fnatic, they got the better of that one, but it was close. It was oh so close.
What a important team fight for Fnatic. Here's the replay.
Let's watch that little soar. Bait from Fnatic. Hooney flashes over Silence, barely misses. Watch the bottom side of the fight right now. See what Fnatic members do. Rainover gets snared, but he's the tankiest member. Flash still gets used defensive. Yellow Star now tanking, that's a support, that's okay. Emperor's Divide stops the combo of Diamond Prox and Betsy. Betsy flashes out of the Ezreal ultimate right here. Rainover goes in with a flash knockup. He's stalling for time. All Unbreakable Will is running out, and you see they can't get past the Alistar, but eventually his ulti drops. Then Feathervin dashes in, looking at Cabo Shard. Just out a lot of damage in return here. It's just not quite enough. And I want to say beautiful fight by both these teams.
And that's the styles, isn't it? Gambit wants to run at you as 5, and Fnatic's trying to peel and dance backwards. There they had enough time. Crepo, it is 10 seconds before Dragon is up. Baron buff is on Fnatic. And this Dragon is aspect levels for Gambit. Fnatic do not want to give it up.
And a lot less flashes in this fight, so the kite composition has a bit of an edge. Because Gambit has a lot harder time to close the gap, so they kind of want to flank. Dimeprox giving up the dream of just going for the 50-50. Edward
Less than
for the flank.
Less than 50-50.
If Hooney gets in range.
Find out if it can work. Hooney does get knocked up here by Cabo Shard. Gambit seems to be peeling away. On the hunt, was thrown down. It should be wearing off soon. Dragon still alive. It's busy chilling at the front of the pit. Has reset. Diamond eats a dark binding. And you can feel how important this objective is. The minimap is slowly pushing in favor of Fnatic towards Gambit's base.
Oh, we see the teleport. Did he switch to home guards? No, he's not.
Find out. Gambit are looking to engage.
Rainover?
Rainover's flashed away. Diamond Prox gonna body slam back. Now Hooney looking for a rupture. Does not connect with anybody. Nor does the Feral Scream. It looks like Fnatic have control of the Dragon Pit, and they're going to secure their first Dragon of the game.
Yeah, Fnatic recognizing that you can punish Gambit if they get close to these choke points. We saw a triple soldier in that choke point. Zoning Rupture, zoning Silence in that choke point. If Gambit stepped in for the Dragon, they would have gotten roasted, AoE'd, and they had to yield, give up this Dragon. In 6 minutes, they have another shot at becoming the first team in Europe so far to pick up that 5th Dragon.
Don't think Fnatic's going to give them that chance. Fnatic still like Barrett.
Pepper going in.
Black Shield is going to keep Reckless alive, and Gosu's in trouble. He sidesteps the True Shot Barrage, and skill shots go wide. Charm dodge, Dark Binding dodge. Gambit doing everything they can to survive here. Unbreakable is on cooldown. They've caught Rainover out, but he's happy to take shots because Fnatic have got the tower.
Get this tower. First Dragon does a lot for Fnatic at this point as well, especially if you're running a poke kite single position. On the hunt gets popped.
Now remember, Betsy's not there. The explosive cask has been used, and that didn't do a lot. But props to Feathervin. Emperor's Divide getting them out clean.
Good Black Shield by Yellowstar as well. Ending his teammate right there. Inhibitor doesn't drop, yet important. Gambit for the second time when they're close to losing in a tower slash inhibitor. They hang on, they survive, and Rise still has item slots. They get more scary and scary over time. But needs the resources to do so.
Rise's item slots powerful enough to come back from a 10k gold deficit?
Oh, after seeing yesterday, yes. Yes, yes they are. But Fnatic, they've obviously played a lot of Rise, and Huni, as Rainover said in his interview, played his champion maybe 30 games in a row, according to him. So if there's any team or player that knows the weaknesses potentially of Rise, definitely would be a Fnatic.
And they seem to be playing around it so exceptionally well.
They always say offense is the best defense. Given staying true to that mantra, picking up a recurve bow, building his 5th offensive item.
So 40 minutes has just ticked over, Crepo. Leaning towards one of the longest games here in Summer. Fnatic still, again, 10k gold lead. They've got the kill lead, the tower lead. They're behind in Dragons. That's the only metric, and the previous Dragon, the 5th Dragon that Gambit wanted, belonged to Fnatic.
But they're slowing down. Look how Fnatic is not spreading out their members because they're respecting Gambit's group potential with On the Hunt. Huni gets snared, takes some damage. Black Shield is popped. Poking back and forth, we're waiting for that one bind to land. Diamond procs to find an opening, and then everything gets explosive again.
Righteous Glory is available for Gosu, as is Unbreakable Will and his Exhaust. Gosu's engages with those headbutts into Pulverize.
Diamond spotted on the flank, he's going in.
Well, we do see the Black Shield, this time not going to work. Yellow Star forced to go back, but Emperor's Divide says this lane is much thinner.
Paste is used on Alistar.
He's looking for the flank, doesn't find his target, and Rainover is now on the wrong side of the jungle. He's going to tunnel away. That's a flash forward for Diamond Prox. He really wants Rainover's hide, and if Gosu Pepper headbutts him to another tunnel. Small mistake, but it's very impactful. Forgiven gets taken down as Rainover re-engages with the Void Rush. He gets a knock-up onto Cabochard, and it's Reckless that gets a double kill. Fnatic with a 3-for-0.
You have to watch your pacing in these fights. Gambits just go one step too far. We said earlier we want to see them go too aggressive rather than too defensive, but Fnatic finally punish it. Fight again, so incredibly close.
And with the death time as being 40 seconds, Fnatic have set their sights on the Nexus turrets. It looks like they can finally close this game out. Betsy, however, does land a charm. He's not done yet. It looks like he will be shortly, though, as he's gone in with the Spirit Rush. The rest of Fnatic focus down the turrets. They're focusing down the Nexus. And in week 2, 0-4 given. Gambit have lost all of their games, while Fnatic have won them all.
But Gambit didn't play like a bottom tier team right here. They didn't play like the 10th place team in the LCS. They came to win. I like it. Just wasn't enough. Just that one extra step. But it was close. And Fnatic, yet again, behind early, a little bit, or close. Struggling a tiny bit, but then somehow things start going right. Somehow, start out snowballing, a calculated, meticulous approach. And they take the victory.
That's 2 days in a row that Fnatic have won the game, yet looked relieved almost in their celebration. Says a lot about how they want to win their games, but also just the change in Gambit from yesterday to today. Such a marked improvement.
Fnatic is looking forward as well. They finished first in the spring split. They did well at MSI, took some games of SKT. They want to go to Worlds and they want to perform there. And you don't perform at Worlds if you're happy with just close wins. You want to dominate the LCS.
Gosu Pepper, of course, fantastic Alistar.
Yeah. Really,
really fantastic Alistar. Engages were brilliant and it really helped Gambit claw back in that mid game.
Yeah, a couple niche little plays that I really like when players don't just do the standard of the champion. Yes, we know the Pulverize headbutt combo, but you can do more. Then we saw players use Q Flash instead of Flash Q. But then we see Gosu Pepper tying it all together, the minion taxi going in, surprising his opponents. And that's how you play Alistar often into Sivir matchup as well. You headbutt in and then you say, okay, am I going to Pulverize? Maybe, use your spell shield. We'll see. Same into Morgana matchups. Tried the mind game, worked sometimes, didn't work other times. And Daylor, just listing all the mistakes. You did that wrong, did that wrong, did that wrong. But we won, so you get a victory dinner.
Yeah, exactly. 4-0 for Fnatic. They are solidly at the top of the table. Origin have the opportunity to match that score later today. Gambit, on the other hand, 0-4. Like we said earlier, they went 0-5 in spring, bounced back to 7-0. They got their hands on Rise, and that's Rise's first defeat. And I believe Alistair's second or third defeat now in the summer split.
Yeah, Huni stayed alive somehow. Didn't feed the Rise. Did what no other top laner was able to do before. Heat that Rise in check. Fnatic didn't play. They played around the Rise early game, tried to shut him down, but then later they just dodged him. They said, okay, that Rise, strong. Don't fight. Fight the other guys. Force him to come back. You let him split push. He doesn't take those towers on all too fast. He blows up the waves, but just structures don't fall that quickly.
No, they definitely don't. There's the team compositions, just to remind you. It was the Cho'Gath into Rise. We saw Rise cutting down multiple Maokais. And I want to give some props to Betsy's Ari. He actually dealt the most damage to champions in that game. Just shy of 29,000. Febiven's Azir, 26,000. Reckless, 26 as well. So, you know, despite it being a non-expected pick, he put the damage, he put the numbers down.
And good draft by Gambit, definitely a vast improvement. And if anything, if they want to take anything away, it was the draft. Yesterday it was atrocious. Today it was good. Solid draft, good teams on both sides, and Fnatic took the win again. 4-0.
That they did. So congratulations to Fnatic. We're going to throw it over to the analyst desk to take a look at Fnatic's 4th straight win.
Thank you very much, gents. Yeah, I'd like to echo what Crepo said, a marked improvement going on there for Gambit, but we do need to dial in on that top lane matchup first, because you are the Rise Master, as we've seen here at the top of the show. And then you said there were whispers of the Cho'Gath maybe playing versus the Rise. What did you make of the matchup in the end on the Rise?
So it's one of those things that, as I said earlier, I was jumping between games, and you know, a lot of the top laners in Europe have been playing it, and you see different matchups that kind of do better, perhaps. And I know that when you look at a player like Huni, he was saying he's played 30 games on Rise. You don't play 30 games without learning a champion's weaknesses as well. And certainly the Cho'Gath is a difficult matchup, but it essentially just makes it tough for Rise to actually output damage in the late game when Cho'Gath is around. And that is one of the key things that Fnatic and Gambit actually worked around really well this game.
Yeah, and also not only knowing that you can do better in the late game, but also Reignover, we saw repeatedly going for that ganks until they got that Rise and got it killed. So you don't take any risks because you don't want to get him going no matter what. We actually have an example of a replay to see how the matchup played out in the later game and how both top laners were in the game.
Yes, this was the fight around Baron that Fnatic were looking to bait. And so Huni flashes over the wall, which normally super aggressive for Huni would be great, but Fnatic actually get caught up here because Cabochard has come in through the bottom side. And remember, if Huni isn't around to silence or knock up Cabochard, Cabochard has free reign on this fight, but Fnatic managed to turn it with really good positioning from Forbiven and Reckless, utilizing the choke around this banana bush to make sure nobody can get to them, and Forbiven dives back in, gets a lot of damage down, but you could already see in that fight just how much work Cabochard was able to do when he was given room. The problem for Gambit, though, on that one was they were very far behind, and Forbiven had so much damage on Azir, and the positioning was great.
Yeah, the Forbiven, Ezreal, Reckless, of course, tag team was really impressive. Talking about Reckless, Ezreal, of course, the mobile AD carry, and then Sivir, also very mobile with her ultimate, and which was a marked change for Forgiven. How did you end up seeing it in the game? Because he was very utility-based this time around, having that on the hunt, but still racking up that CS.
Yeah, Forgiven played Sivir. I think that's the first big kind of earth-shaking moment. I mean, I think Quickshot and Crepo tied into it very well in the fact that, you know, all the way through Spring Split, everyone was playing Sivir, but Forgiven looked fairly comfortable on Sivir. As you said, got a lot of farm. Gambit, I feel, actually played around it a lot better as well. When it came to looking to take dragons early on, we saw Gambit have a strong dragon lead and putting Forgiven over in a side lane to push down a turret at the same time. So Gambit actually looked a lot better when it came to playing around Forgiven than they have done in any of the previous games.
Definitely agree. This was actually the longest game in the EU LCS Summer so far, in 43 minutes and 43 seconds. And I think that's a testament to Gambit as well. We have seen that Fnatic last week also had the longest games on average here in EU, and Gambit pushed them a little further even. And there's a couple of things. You mentioned the Forgiven, the playing around it, the Alistar by Eddie coming out, Gosu Pepper coming out, excuse me, was quite impressive as well. And at the center of that, someone that we've been talking about a lot, Diamond, going for that Gragas, counter-jungling early, having some really nice moves to take Reckless down, I think it was in the beginning of the game as well. So it definitely feels that the normal draft is it's working for them if they keep to the basics.
It certainly seems to be. And, you know, there was a lot of partnership in that game between Diamond and Betsy in the middle lane. And Betsy got himself back onto an assassin. Those are the types of champions we've seen him do better on. And between the two of them, the early game pressure they applied on Forbidden was good, and they did manage to catch out Reignover a lot in the jungle, but Forbidden just farmed so well. Overall, I would say it's a marked improvement from Gambit, and Fnatic, yes, they were a little bit slower, but they look comfortable for most of the game as it was.
Yeah, and one could argue for Fnatic, it's a nice practice to having games that they have to fight for harder and fighting their way back and pushing away that 5th dragon. All learning curves for both of them. We're going to take a break from this game because in just a few minutes, the Giants will take to the Rift against SK Gaming. But first, a look at how SK's longtime AD carry returned to the fold to fill some very big shoes.
When I first joined SK, it was with Wicked, Snoopy, Ocelot. It was really fun back then. I think we were like top 3 in the world. We had like a really good period at the start of Season 3, the Spring Split, where we like really worked hard as a team and you could really feel the team spirit. But it fell apart like really quickly and we ended up splitting. We like patched work, a team together, but it worked out in the end pretty well actually.
They are going to continue the top of the table charge, and what an immense turnaround for SK Gaming.
By chance, I feel like we found out what was important and we just like did that over and over again and no one could like figure out what we were doing. We qualified for Worlds, but it didn't work in the end. We went out in group stage at Worlds, everyone was disappointed and we had to make some changes. I just said that I need a break and I need to like refocus and motivate myself again. I went to Sweden at the start of New Year and I went there to my girlfriend to spend some time there, do a break.
Unicorns of Love unseat SK Gaming. They win the 50-minute fight.
I watched the playoffs like pretty much every game, and when I watched SK play, it felt like good on the one side to see them lose because I knew that there was a chance I could maybe join them, and if they lose, you know, it's more chance that they might swap a player. But on the other side, it felt really bad because I like to see my old teammates win, and I don't know, it felt like good and bad at the same time. Sven told me as well, like one time, why don't you start playing again? Like, you should really start playing again. I was like, why would he say that? Like, it became clear that we could fit back together again in Summer Split, and I really worked towards that. It was clear to me that I want to go back to SK. I knew the players. I was good friends with them, even though I wasn't in the team anymore. And it just fit perfectly. There was really no better choice than SK at the time. This time around, I've definitely something to prove, especially replacing Forgiven. And it's just about like working hard. It's not like some magic trick, it's just playing a lot of games, having dedication, and having good team atmosphere. And I feel like we can easily get that, and we can be a good team.